Anti-inflammatory urolithin A, 2000 milligrams, longevity complex. Do you want to know why these bottles are in the frame today? Well, because we're going to discuss the worst categories, in my opinion, for starting on marketplaces. And we'll talk not only about Amazon FBA, but also about any other marketplaces. For example, Latin America, China, any supplements I consider a bad category. And if you want to know what other categories I consider bad and why, then stay tuned. Let's go. The first category you need to be extremely careful with is electronics. Electronics always mean, first of all, high returns. It's a fairly high defect rate. It involves various certificates and explanatory letters because you can't just take and import electronics. It all must be absolutely certified. Fourth, there's always the question of with or without batteries. Without batteries, it seems easier because batteries are a separate type of product. It's separate warehouses, but without batteries, a product usually gets worse reviews because, well, a person simply can't use the product right away. It's always a bit of a headache. So yes, batteries are kind of necessary after all. And above all, it's about who you'll be competing with, some big giants who surely have fewer defects. So I believe that electronics is not a category for starting out. The second bad category is clothing and footwear. Yes, it would be cool to launch a trendy yoga leggings brand, repeat the success of Lululemon, launch cool branded items. No, there are several downsides. First is the huge amount of returns. You know how Zalando, La Moda, and many other clothing marketplaces operate? They're always prepared for 50 to 60% returns. Yes, the reality is that people order not only their own size, but also the adjacent ones because brands can run small or large, and they also order different colors. So if I want to order one skirt, I choose at least 3 sizes. Multiply that by 2 colors. Many buyers are just like me. Actually, they'll take 6 items to choose from which color and which size fits them better. In the end, they'll only buy 1 unit out of 6, and you'll be paying for those returns, and even worse. While they're trying them on, they get everything dirty, damage, and tear them. Yes, that's the truth about people. And in the end, you ship back and forth 6 units, 5 of them will be returned, and God willing, 3 will be in excellent condition, the rest will be in used condition. So clothing is not a category for the marketplaces we're discussing, like Amazon, or rather not a category for starting out. Yes, once you're experienced and understand how to live with all this, how much money you need to budget for all these returns and damaged items, then of course no problem, launch your own brands of clothing, children's wear, once you've sorted out the certificates, but at the start you have too much to master. And clothing is not the category that will be easy to start with. The third category is the one we started with, supplements and additives. Yes, the margin on collagen or vitamin C can be sky high and very attractive, but you will need to obtain 1 million permits and documents at the very least. All sorts of tests, yes, authorization letters are necessary in this category. Secondly, the competition is already very high. Thirdly, the customer has an allergic reaction, you'll have to handle that. Risks of criminal cases. And if you aren't exactly a super expert in this field and the supplier isn't super vetted with 10 years of experience working on smaller volumes, then supplements aren't the category that will be easy to start with. The fourth category is items that are too heavy or too bulky. Why? To start with, you'll need to figure out the unit economics. First, what a storage fee is. The fee the marketplace charges for storing goods, and if new stock arrives while you're still just learning the marketplace mechanics, figuring out how to get the first reviews, why this infographic works while these videos don't, why was your listing blocked? And suddenly, amidst all this at the initial stage, when there are still too many problems and too few sales, your storage fees will start to grow. They'll charge you significant, noticeable money for storage, and it'll be double the stress because you'll have to deal with the marketplace mechanics. And at the same time, storing the goods will become too expensive. The product will start eating its own margin. You'll be scrambling to sell off these items quickly, especially if your goods are at FBA, that is at the marketplace's own warehouse. And none of this will add confidence to your work. So large, oversized items are too risky at the start because of the huge storage fees. And secondly, the shipping costs are too high. In case of returns, you'll have to pay for shipping both ways, meaning the return shipping as well. So large, oversized, and heavy items are not the best category to start with. The next bad category for starting out is trends and products with a high risk of patent infringement. Let's look at trends. Trends are always a big question. How long will this trend stay with us? Yes, there are trends that stick around, and they stick around long enough that in that time you can manage to earn a lot and then not worry when that trend eventually fades away. But some trends are only with us for a week, two, maybe a month at most, and I at least want, and I hope you're in the same boat with me, we want to have a stable business with a predictable income, ideally ever green. Well, at least for 10 years or so. We hope that this product will keep selling. Reviews will accumulate, and the more reviews, the more sales, the more sales, the more reviews. This positive feedback loop only helps to drive sales growth, whereas trends where a trend takes off and then ends don't lead to predictable sales. So trends are generally a risky category and definitely not for starting out. As for patent risk, many items that are somewhat interesting and seem like such a simple idea. Everyone needs one, they're all patented. Well, maybe not all. No, many people think that since I came up with this thing, I'll go and patent it. And of course, no one wants to spend money later on lawyers and figure out why your listing was blocked. What's this patent infringement? Is it really a patent violation, or did it just seem that way to someone? Basically, it's some legal hassle, and in a jurisdiction where you and I probably aren't very well versed. So why do we need that? We need to start and get our first profit. So we don't take trends or products with a high risk of patent infringement. The next category I don't recommend for starting out is fragile items, for example, glass or ceramic items. Yes, there can be a good margin because these are often designer pieces where you can stand out and where you can succeed with your taste and by hitting that aesthetic trend. But imagine this. These products, these goods will first travel, for example, from a supplier in China to a warehouse, straight to the marketplace warehouse, or even to some intermediate prep center. Or if you use the Amazon IWD program, yes, that's also a way to store products cheaper. These items made of glass or ceramics travel from China to an intermediate warehouse. Then from that warehouse, they'll be delivered in batches to the marketplace's main warehouse. Then, from the main marketplace warehouse, these items will finally be delivered to the customer. Just imagine how many different handlings this poor item made of glass or ceramics will go through, and the likelihood that somewhere the ceramics or glass will get damaged and customers don't buy these things just to have them arrive with chipped edges. And yes, there are mechanisms, for example, on Russian marketplaces. A customer says, something got scratched or chipped here, I want to return it, but you can offer a discount, say 20 to 30%, and ask them, please just turn this little vase the other way. Maybe even 40 to 50% if your margins allow for it. It might still be cheaper than picking up the item yourself and repairing or disposing of it. Basically, on Russian marketplaces, there's this option to offer a discount instead of a full return. This is a huge lifesaver. It's a great hack, but on Amazon, this option doesn't exist. At least I don't know of it. If you do, write and tell me how. Basically, on Amazon, everything is just returned and automatically marked as defective. I also don't recommend taking children's goods. Yes, it's a great category. Yes, young moms, especially in our countries, are ready to buy up all sorts of cool things for kids with big budgets. I think this is our cultural peculiarity. Yes, children's goods are such a strong category with a high volume of sales. But why is it not a very good category to start with? First, there are many permits. And if you've noticed, sometimes children's products say porridge only from age 3. It's not because you'll get poisoned by this porridge if you're 2.5 or even 1.5, but because simply the younger the age, the stricter the certification. And some companies simply decide that we'll only go for simpler certification, like from age 3, so as not to invest huge budgets in the certification that is required for products, say, from birth. From birth is the strictest certification. Basically, it's large budgets to pass all of these tests. And for a start, when you're just figuring things out, you probably don't need that. Well, and secondly, there are risks. If, God forbid, a child gets hurt, whether it's their fault or not, expect a lawsuit because parents are the most nervous, the most anxious buyers. So I think at the start, better not get involved with that yet. Later on, you'll understand how things work. build up connections, get your own lawyer, and then some closed listing due to some complaint from a parent won't worry you as much or trigger you. But at the initial stage, well, it can be a real problem when you don't yet know what to do. That's why children's goods aren't the best option for a start. The next unsuccessful category is seasonal goods. Yes, Christmas ornaments, garlands, and Halloween. It's a great and very high margin category. If you've ever wondered why this costume, which costs $2 at the source, why does it cost $35 in my shop or 40? Well, here's why. Let's discuss it because it's a very risky category. If you're not yet familiar with the supplier, you don't know how much they might let you down. I mean, usually when you work with a supplier, you kind of understand, aha, he says it'll be ready in April, but I know that before May, don't expect it. And even then, only if I remind him every day and even sort of threaten him in a good way, like, I don't know, that we'll stop working together. And I don't mean threatening physical violence. Well, you get it. So anyway, if you've been working with a supplier for a long time, you usually already understand roughly how long he'll delay the batches. If he promised by April 1st, then most likely it'll be by May. But for these seasonal goods, you're just starting to work. You, for example, order at the end of spring and think that by October this item will definitely arrive at the warehouse, but then the supplier, with some excuses or real reasons, he keeps delaying and delaying the production deadlines, especially since you're not a very big client for him yet and maybe just a beginning client. He keeps pushing you to the back of the line, puts your production on a residual basis, and in the end, for example, produces it by the end of August. The goods ship out in September, and by the time they arrive and get unloaded, it's already November. Halloween has passed, and it's all not very relevant anymore. So either you need to plan very far in advance, or it's better not to get involved. And the second downside is how you'll build ratings, because a year-round, non-seasonal product, it's always slowly, like a crab, crawling along and picking up its few reviews a week, and over time this number of reviews becomes quite decent and the product starts to sell itself. But with these seasonal goods, well, okay, people might hopefully buy the product with few number of reviews for the holiday. Then I don't know what percentage of them will leave a review. What is the percentage of people leaving reviews in this category anyway? Well, I suspect that it's not very high because it's one thing to use a pot every day, for example, and roughly understand its pros and cons. It's another thing to go out once in some bad, cheap costume. And maybe I'll only leave a review if I was very dissatisfied, if the costume was completely synthetic, of terrible quality, and just ripped. But if everything was great, maybe I won't even bother with it. Well, in general, it seems to me that with such single-use products, there might be problems with reviews. And worst of all, okay, even if people did leave reviews after the holiday, but there's still a whole year until the next holiday. And there are two problems here. There won't be any reviews all this time. And the second big problem is the issue of leftovers. If you didn't calculate correctly and you have stock left, then it's all dead weight. It won't sell for the next 9 months until the next holiday season starts, and you'll either have to move it or dispose of it, basically figure something out. So I think seasonal items are definitely not a category for starting out. Another category you shouldn't start with, even though it's tempting, is the smart home category and software-dependent gadgets. Yes, it's a very cool category. It's growing, especially in our circles. All my friends are interested in it. I'm interested in it too, and you really want to sell a product for yourself, for someone like you. No, wait, don't do that, because again, you need to be very confident in the quality of this electronics. If the devices don't connect, if you haven't considered all the protocols that people need, yes, there's a bit of a mess there right now. Different protocols, and it's best to have devices that either support the one most popular protocol or that support multiple protocols. In short, if you haven't considered all this, and since there are no uniform standards in this category yet, it will naturally cause irritation and rejection in people when they can't connect something. And of course, these nerds will leave us the worst reviews. They won't spare us. So smart home is not a category for starting out. Let's summarize everything we've discussed today. Simplicity, safety, and year-round demand are the three most important factors that affect the category that will be the best and most comfortable for a seller to start with. And this is the same for all marketplaces. I wish you great sales.